Yow! What is up, Legacy players? We are back finally with another gameplay video. So here we have Eric on Yorion Death and Taxes against Steven on Blue-Black Midrange or Blue-Black Control. I'm not sure which side it really falls on. Alright, they will draw their opening sevens. Eric shows a Wasteland, Eternal Dragon, 2 Spirit of the Labyrinths, a Caracas, and some plains. Steven shows Polluted Delta, Mystic Sanctuary, Wasteland, Misty Rainforest, Sauron's Ransom, Daze, and a Ponder. Oh, okay, so Eric will be on the play, or will be first player. Steven will take the turn, crack his Misty Rainforest, and casting a Ponder. Searches for basic island in the face of the Wasteland. So resolving the Ponder, Steven sees Sauron's Ransom, Grief, and I think it is another Grief. Yes, so it's 2 Griefs and a Sauron's Ransom. I'm not sure if it... I think this might be a safe shuffle. Oh, it looks like he's going to keep it. So he values the Griefs, but that means he has to exile his Tombstalker in hand. So exiling the Tombstalker evokes Grief. No way to reanimate it right now. So Steven looking at Caracas, 2 Plains, 2 Spirit of Labyrinth, and a Timeless Dragon. I think you can take... I think he hits one of the spirits. I think those are the things most threatening to him. Because if he takes the Timeless Dragon, he can eternalize it anyway, but then he doesn't have to deal with it initially. So yeah, Steven gonna take a Spirit of the Labyrinth here. So your Grief will get sacrificed to its evoke ability. Eric casts Spirit of the Labyrinth. Steven responds with a Daze, and it gets countered. Sorry, the Spirit of the Labyrinth gets countered by the Daze. So Steven's gonna Wasteland Eric's Wasteland, leaving him at 0 lands to Eric's 1 plains. Eric plays a 2nd plains for turn, finally gets the Aether Vial, passes the turn. Steven draws the Grief that we know about, plays a Polluted Delta, and passes the turn. Eric will go to untap, most likely add a Aether Vial counter. So it goes up to 1. Plays Caracas for turn. Looks like he has a Stoneforge Mystic, Timeless Dragon, and we're not sure about the 3rd card. Steven draws Ponder off the top, plays the island that he dazed back to his hand, and casts a Ponder. Eric, in response to the Ponder, planecycles the Timeless Dragon to find another plains. Steven resolving the Ponder sees Reanimate, Polluted Delta, and I'm not sure what that 3rd card is. Looks like he really wants to reanimate. I guess he could reanimate the Timeless Dragon. Gonna fetch the Polluted Delta. So now he gets those other lands off the top of his library. Finds a swamp. Good to fetch out basics against Death and Taxes. They have so many wastelands and mana denial. Don't want to risk losing your mana against the deck. They really get so much mana or resource advantage through tapping your lands down, through Rishadon Port, blowing up your non-basic lands with Wasteland, and then just getting ahead and putting creatures onto the board with Aether Vial. So fetching the swamp finishes the fetch. Going to evoke Grief, pitching a Sauron's Ransom as the cost. Looking at Plains, Timeless Dragon, Stoneforge Mystic. Immediately takes the Stoneforge Mystic. And I guess we reanimate the Timeless Dragon. Seems like the best target. I don't think Steven's too concerned about the Timeless Dragon in Eric's hand. Looks like that is what he's going to do. So that leaves Sauron's Ransom, Mystic Sanctuary in Steven's hand. I guess fetching the basic swamp makes it really awkward for the Mystic Sanctuary because it is very far from entering the battlefield untapped. So he's going to have to play it tapped, and Sauron's Ransom is a 3-drop. So mana isn't really aligning here for Steven. Eric looking to play the plains that he planecycled for. So now he has one known card, which is the Timeless Dragon, and an unknown card. So he's passing it back to Steven. Steven will draw for turn. Looks like he top decks another Reanimate. I think you could just attack, and then I think you really do want to start pulling ahead while you have the chance. So playing the Mystic Sanctuary tapped so that you can cast Azrael's Ransom eventually, it will be very good. So Steven will play the Mystic Sanctuary tapped, passes the turn. During the end step, Eric will plane cycle his other Timeless Dragon to find a Plains. So now Eric will have 5 mana. Alright, so Eric will now untap and draw for turn. Vial goes up to 3. Play the Plains he just cycled for. And looks like he's going to Eternalize the Timeless Dragon. So now it is a 4/4 instead of a 5/5. It's black and also a zombie in addition to being a dragon. So Steven top decks Daze on his turn. I think you can just sit back and relax. No reason to attack into the dragon. He's lost more life than Eric has, so he'll lose the race because of Steven's reanimates. So end of the turn, Eric activates Vial, puts in Flicker Wisp. I think he targets the Eternal Dragon, right? Oh, is he targeting the swamp? He targets the swamp. That's very strange to me, because is he worried like about a fatal push? Okay, so in response to the Flicker Wisp, so Flicker Wisp targets the swamp. Steven floats black mana, taps out to cast his Sauron's Ransom. So now Eric is gonna look at the top 4 cards of Steven's deck, puts them into 2 piles. One of them face up, one of them face down, and then Steven has to pick one of them to go to the graveyard, and the other goes to his hand. So Eric puts Force of Will Daze as face up. I think it's Underground Sea and a Reanimate face down. Yep, and then... So this is an okay pick by Steven. All the counterspells kind of don't really do much against Aether Vial. That was a really weird choice. I think if you had a Flicker Wisp, I think you would Flicker Wisp the Timeless Dragon. Because if you Flicker Wisp a permanent that they don't own, it returns to its owner's control when it returns to the battlefield. So he would have had a real Timeless Dragon, a Timeless Dragon Eternalized token, and a Flicker Wisp, and that's like a lot of power on board. I guess Eric might have been afraid of a fatal push for the token, maybe. Eric adding Yorion to hand, passing the turn. Steven gets his swamp back, untaps and draws for the turn. It is a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Plays an Underground Sea for turn. So he has a lot of Reanimate, but he's also paid quite a bit of life. I think he's paid 9 life alone. Oh no, 5 life. Now he's losing another 4, so he'll be at 11 minimum. So here's a Grief. So in response to Grief targeting Eric, he's gonna flash in a Flicker Wisp. Now he takes the Timeless Dragon, right? Oh, he is flickering his own Flicker Wisp. Okay. So Grief resolves and takes Yorion out of the hand. Steven can't really reanimate the Yorion, even if it's the best, because Eric has a Caracas. Oh, Steven reanimating the Yorion anyway. So I think he's down to 7 or 6. Oh, okay, so he's undoing the reanimate. I'm a little bit confused here. I mean, although it is a bad play, I'm not sure. I think Steven may have realized that he has a Caracas and that he could just bounce the Yorion back to Eric's hand. But this doesn't look good for Steven. Although it should have happened a long time ago, the incoming Flicker Wisp at the end of this turn should be taking the Timeless Dragon, so that Eric can get it back on Steven's turn. Okay, so there's Flicker Wisp targeting the Timeless Dragon. Eric will go to his upkeep and trigger Aether Vial. Most likely not going to put a counter, it's already at 3. Yorion is already in hand, there's no like Solitudes, no reason to pump it up to 5. And then Steven's just going to scoop it out. Alright, here we are for round 2. Steven presumably on the play as Eric is now up a game. Eric showing Caracas, Plains, Mother of Runes, Mother of Runes. I believe there's a Flicker Wisp in his hand as well. No, Mother of Runes, Rishadan Port, Thalia. Looks like there's 3 Mother of Runes in his hand. Steven looking at Polluted Delta, Island, Underground Sea. Starting off with the Polluted Delta, going to exile a Sheoldred's Edict to the Grief. There is 3 Mother of Runes in Eric's hand. So, 3 Mother of Runes, Caracas, Plains, Rishadan Port, Thalia. Take Thalia. Draws a card for the turn. Going to play a Plains, play a Mother of Runes. Right? Yeah, okay. Pass the turn. Steven will draw. There's a Fatal Push and a Dark Blast. No, he will not draw. So on the end step, most likely going to use the Dark Blast here. No reason not to. Puts a card into the yard so that he can Tombstalker. Hopefully he doesn't mill a Tombstalker. Classic Delve. I think it's a 6/6 flyer. Let me just double check the stats on it. It's a 5/5 flyer. It's a 5/5 flyer with Delve. There's a Dark Blast at the end of Eric's turn. Steven's gonna draw. Draws a Brainstorm. So now he plays Island for turn. Underground Sea, Fatal Push, Brainstorm for Steven. Eric draws for his turn. Looks like there's a Field of Ruin that is hidden away from Steven. Going to play a Caracas, play double Mother of Runes. Pass the turn back to Steven. Steven going to Brainstorm at the end of Eric's turn. Going to Dredge Dark Blast. Draws 2, so he'll have to put 2 back. So he dredged Brainstorm, Brazen Borrower. Oh, and then Dark Blasts at the end of the turn to finish off 1 Mother of Runes. Draws a Wasteland for turn. Gonna play the Wasteland. Use the Swamp to kill the other Mother of Runes. With a Fatal Push, use the Wasteland to take out the Caracas. So the dredged cards were Brainstorm, Ponder, Brazen Borrower. Eric gonna play Rishadan Port for his turn and tap Steven's Island at the upkeep. Going to play a second Rishadan Port and passing the turn, or gonna tap both Rishadan Ports. Keep the island tapped. Steven has 2 Griefs in hand and an Underground Sea. You're gonna pass the turn back to Eric. Eric draws. Plays the Field of Ruin. Tapping for 4. I think he's passing the turn and tapping down the 2 blue sources. There's a Reanimate for Steven. Very good Temple Swing. Especially because Eric left a Swamp untapped. What is he targeting? He's targeting Grief once again. There's Thalia, Source to Plowshares, and a Canoptic Scarab Swarm. I don't know what that card does. We're going to throw it up on the screen, so case you guys don't know either. You can follow along. So it's a 4-mana 1/1 flyer. When it enters the battlefield, exiles target player's graveyard. For each artifact or land exiled this way, you create a 1/1 colorless insect artifact creature with flying. Wow, that's pretty powerful. That's strong graveyard hate. So he takes the Scarab Swarm. That leaves a Thalia Swords to Plowshares in his hand. Steven evoking another Grief, pitching a Grief, taking the Swords to Plowshare, which leaves Thalia alone in the hand. Eric draws a Plains and plays it for turn. Cast a Thalia, now handless. Passes the turn. Gonna tap down the Underground Sea during Steven's upkeep. Going to Dredge, Mills, Ponder, Grief, Underground Sea. Gonna Dark Blast the Thalia. Very good removal here. Attacks for 3. Alright, Eric will untap. Draw the turn. Alright, so here's a Stoneforge Mystic off the top from Eric. He's going to go searching through his library for any equipment and add it to his hand. Is it going to be Kaldra? It is Kaldra Complete. Probably the #1 card people go for unless the player's already drawn it. So Steven waiting for Eric. Eric gonna activate Rishon on Port to tap down the Underground Sea. So Steven gonna draw for turn, or is he gonna dredge? He's going to draw. There's a Wasteland. Not gonna help him fight a Kaldra. Attacks for 3. Steven cannot, or not Steven, Eric cannot block it, as Grief has Menace. Wasteland going to take out the Field of Ruin and pass the turn. Eric gonna draw for turn. Activate Stoneforge Mystic to put the Kaldra Complete onto the battlefield. The Stoneforge Mystic has to tap. So Kaldra Complete, the Germ token is going to attack. Attacks for 5. Gonna tap another 2 mana for Spirit of the Labyrinth, then pass the turn. Steven draws a Daze. Not going well here. Alright, so Steven's just gonna pass the turn. Eric going to draw. Attacks with Kaldra. Steven takes the hit. So he's going to pass a turn and then tap down to Steven's land. Steven draws an Underground Sea. Not going to help him here either. And there is the game. Eric takes it over Steven in 2. Alright, guys. I think the next video by the end of the week will be more of an announcement video. I don't think it's going to be gameplay. So that'll come out either Thursday or Friday. So stay tuned. Thanks for watching and catch you later.